The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. My name is JD, and with me is my best bro, Kyle.
It's me.
It sure is. And yeah, so this week we're going to be talking about Wes Anderson's new hipster film, Isle of Dogs, which I was very anticipating to see this. Because, Kyle, the only other Wes Anderson film you said you'd seen is Fantastic Mr. Fox, right?
Yeah, and I think I saw like half of The Life Aquatic. I don't think I finished that movie.
Oh, okay. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, Fantastic Mr. Fox was a really good movie from, I think, like 2009, 2010, sometime around there.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But no, it was really good, and it was interesting to see Wes Anderson, take on an animated film, and do stop motion of all things. But he's back at it again. We got another stop motion film from him, which is really surprising because outside of Laika, we don't really get stop motion.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Aside from Henry Selick and people at Aardman.
Yeah, it's true. I guess Aardman still does it. So yeah, so Isle of Dogs is it technically came out a couple weeks ago, but I guess it was in limited release.
It's funny that you say that because over here it's played at like literally every theater around us.
Well, Kyle,
except one.
You live near LA. I live in like central Ohio, so
Oh, yeah.
We're not exactly the cultural epicenter for film. Like, we had it when it came out, but it was at the, like, independent theater all the way downtown. It's like, I'm not driving downtown trying to find parking to go there, where I can just go to my local theater that I work at and go in for free if I just wait a couple weeks. So, there you go. I did pay for our other friends that went with us, so I did technically give this movie my money, so, which is good, because, I think you and I are pretty much in agreement, Kyle, that this is a really good movie.
Yeah. I do think it's funny to note. I don't know if because I don't watch TV or nothing, so I don't know commercials, but the whole marketing campaign is showing that Isle of Dogs is very close to I Love Dogs, and that's the whole...
Oh.
I guess that's the reason.
Weird. Yeah, I don't have TV, so I've only ever seen, like, the trailers in front of other movies, and that's the one that's, like, they're doing the really intense taiko drums and stuff.
Well, that's the weird thing about marketing campaigns, since I think a lot of us pretty much don't own TV, cable, whatever anymore,
yeah.
But I'll see shit on, like, Instagram and be like, okay. And that's just so weird now, this age we live in.
I mean, they gotta advertise to you somehow.
Pretty much.
But yeah, so this is a very interesting story that, Wes Anderson went with. It's basically like Japan, like a couple of years in the future. I think they said like 40 years in the future or something. There's like an outbreak of dog flu, and it's getting to the point where like dogs are overrun in the country, and their disease might start spreading to humans. So the Japanese government is like, we have this island where we dump all of our trash. Let's just dump all the dogs there, and hence the Isle of Dogs. But the main focus of this movie is this young boy who is like distant nephew to the mayor of the city that disposed of all the dogs. His dog was the first dog to go, and so he makes a trek to the island to rescue his dog from the island. And lots of Wes Anderson hipstery kookiness ensues. I mean, from the very beginning of this movie, where they put a disclaimer up into the up for the audience, basically saying, "Look, all the Japanese people are going to speak Japanese. The only English you're getting out of us is anything we decide to translate, and the dogs speak English. So just get over that." So
Well, no.
this movie's pretty hipstery.
No. For one, I do like that they made everybody speak Japanese. I think that was kind of a bold choice, and it worked. It was pretty cool that they did that. But that disclaimer says all barks have been translated to English.
Right.
So all the dogs are barking throughout the movie, but it is
Just in English for the viewers' sake.
yeah. I do like that. That was a pretty funny joke.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of running jokes in this movie that are
There
fun.
is a lot of running jokes. I mean, the big one was I thought was really funny after a while. It was just like, so there's this group of dogs that are led by, I think Edward Norton's dog is the one who's technically the leader, Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's this group of dogs that are this. If you've seen the poster for this movie is just cram packed with celebrity voices that are, most of them are like good friends of Wes Anderson and have been in his other movies. Others are, other big name celebrities. So you've got people like Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Bill Murray's in here, Jeff Goldblum, Frances McDormand, who just won an Oscar a couple months ago, Scarlett Johansson, Harvey Keitel's in here, Tilda Swinton's in here, Liev Schreiber. There's a lot of like Japanese voice actors or actors who I don't know, but I feel are probably big name actors for Japan, but I don't know them.
Like I went into this movie, I didn't give a shit about any of the voice actors, and that was pretty good. Didn't matter, but like hearing Jeff Goldblum was in it, I'm like, yeah, I didn't tell.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
too into him.
The only two people that I knew I could tell right away was Edward Norton and Bill Murray, and that's just because Bill Murray has and I guess Scarlett Johansson, I could tell her character. But those people have like very distinct voices. But like Bryan Cranston basically plays the main dog to this movie, and it took me till the end of the movie to realize that was him.
Jesus, I knew him like right from the gate. The only people I knew was him and Bill Murray.
Well, I was telling you before we started recording, like I was sitting through the whole movie wondering why he sounded familiar. And then at the end of the movie it said, "Oh, Bryan Cranston." I'm like, "Oh, that's why." And I completely forgot that Jeff Goldblum was in this movie. So even though like with a lot of other animated movies, I feel like the celebrity voice acting can be a little bit of a hindrance because it's like, oh, it's just that celebrity doing a voice. But I don't feel it's too distracting in this one.
Well, I mean, look at the whole Ratchet and Clank movie where they gave John Goodman like top billing.
He's in the movie for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's where Hollywood has a problem with that.
Right.
But I mean, visually, this movie was fucking stunning. Just like right out of the gate, they have kind of a temple scene or something, and it was very pretty. It looks very almost like a cartoon, but it's all stop motion. But I did also think that it was kind of cool visually where it almost had like hand-drawn stuff in it. Every time they would be on the TV, they would have like little cartoon pictures of them. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like, yeah, instead of just showing a film version of just doing the regular stop motion and just like showing that on a TV screen, yeah, they like hand animated anytime there's a picture, anytime there's something on TV, it's all hand animated, and I thought that was really nice. And
I don't know if you noticed either, but there was a lot of parts in different scenes where you're looking at the dogs talking and there's bugs crawling all over them, and you can see the bugs crawling on them, and I thought that was cool. It's just like a little fucking detail that doesn't add anything to the movie other than being visually cool.
Yeah, like visually saying, oh, just to remind you, like, oh, hey, they're technically walking through a dump. So yeah, of course, flies and everything would just be crawling all over these dogs all the time.
Well, they had ticks and stuff on them.
Yeah, they had ticks.
That was the reason.
Right.
The thing that I was really happy about this movie, I was expecting it to be a cats versus dog thing because they kind of made it seem that way, but it really didn't amount to be that.
It's like dogs versus the government.
Yeah, but they make it where the cats are kind of like the preferred pet, and that was what the dynasty was, but boiled down to a whole, it wasn't a cats versus dogs thing.
There's not a single cat character in this. Like,
yeah.
the main bat antagonist, I guess, like, has a cat that you see every now and then, but, like, the cat isn't characterized or anything.
Yeah, I really like that, because that's such a stupid cliche thing to a point where it's dumb.
Yeah, and I feel like there may have been, like, a few times in here where they could have gone like that, where they could have gone cliche with it, but they instead like went a different direction with it. And I mean, that's very, I think, in step with like, you know, what Wes Anderson usually does, because I feel like Wes Anderson just has a very different way of filmmaking, I guess. And like, you can put his film up to any other film and you can immediately tell which is his.
What's visually different, the way he films stuff, the colors.
Like the way he films things, his color theory, just the way his scripts are written. It's very interesting, and I know it can turn off some people, because I know a few people who just like don't care for his style. Melanie and I like it. We really enjoy his film, so I mean that's why I was. Even if this wasn't animated, it's like, oh, it's a new Wes Anderson movie. I would have went and saw it anyway, but.
Is it his style for everything to be super deadpan?
Kind of. It's like, yeah, it's very deadpan. It's very, the dialogue, especially like with this.
Very dry.
It's very dry. And especially with this and Mr. Fox, a lot of the dialogue is really fast.
Yeah.
So it's very dry, fast dialogue. And I like that. I like dry humor. So I think that's why it does it for me. But we were talking earlier about there's a bunch of running jokes. I really like it kind of got on me after a while, but like I'd say the first 3/4 of the movie, I was really liking the joke where Edward Norton, or I don't remember if it was Edward Norton's dog. It was one of the dogs. It would turn to the other ones and just. Yeah, they were just like, did you hear the rumor? It's always about something they just recently heard.
Yeah, but it was like, at the end, he's like, where are you getting all this stuff? It's like,
I just hear it, man. I like the talk.
Yeah. I did like that joke a lot.
It was funny. And I like the little detail where, like, the dogs would just, like, even if the ones in the background would just randomly sneeze. Because they were saying, like, the symptoms of the dog flu is, one of them is, like, sneezing, and like the dogs will just randomly sneeze. So I thought that one was kind of nice.
The whole flu too, I don't know if that was like intentional or not, but it didn't even seem like that extreme. All the symptoms and everything, it just sounded like a normal thing.
Yeah, it was basically like, and I think that was, maybe that was part of the joke, is that like this dog flu thing, it's like, yeah, it's dogs having the flu. It's like but I think the thing they were saying that like it can make them aggressive, or something like that, and because they and I guess there's overpopulation with the dogs, and they're carrying the disease into the next generation. So I assume that's why.
It was dog flu and snout something.
It was
snout fever.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, there's all these medical issues with the dogs, and so instead of trying to, there's one scientist who's trying to cure all the dogs, but the government is all like, nah, we're not doing that.
I was wondering, is that a real thing where they have a political party and a science party?
I don't know anything about Japan's political system, so they might, for all I know. Yeah, I'm not the person to ask about that. I like I haven't really seen a stop motion movie that moves the way that this and Mr. Fox do. Because I can't say it's like Wes Anderson's other movies, where a lot of that does have some quick movement, but in this one, it's almost like there's almost cut frames for how stilted and quick a lot of these things move.
Well, there was a few things that I saw where I'm like, yeah, that's probably CG. Like, it's probably animated, but it was done with CG, if that
Like
makes
which
any
parts?
sense. There was parts where they're walking across a bridge, and then the background keeps changing.
Well,
and it seems like that was looped in that way, and then it was CG didn't do that scene.
I wouldn't call it so much CG as that's just compositing. Where they probably filmed the dogs walking over a green screen, and then they just put footage of the sets in the background.
It felt the way they were walking in those scenes, because there's two of them. There's the one where the boy's walking with the dogs, and then there's the one where the dogs are walking with the cage. Mm-hmm. And it felt too fast and too fluid to be.
The ones with the cage, I almost agree with you, because I felt like when the cage was on their back before they did the first transition of them walking, I felt like the cage had been basically copied on top of the models. It didn't feel like the dogs had picked up a cage. It felt like there was a picture, or there was a model of the cage that was put on top of them. In post. So maybe.
I mean, that doesn't add or detract to anything.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, for every one of that, I mean, I like that all of the, every time there's an explosion, you could very much tell it's just a bunch of cotton.
Yeah.
And I love that there is no actual fight scenes. Anytime someone gets into a fight, it's just a big pile with clouds.
I really like that.
Every single time.
I really like that, and I don't know if, because I haven't seen it in a while, I don't know if they did that in Fantastic Mr. Fox, but it's such a stupid, funny thing to do, and I just love it.
Yeah, it's just like, you could have these characters animate them like hitting each other, but no, they're just like a bunch of characters getting in a fight. It's just a big pile, and you just see limbs popping out of the cloud every now and then.
Yeah, and it kind of just shows that the fight itself is not important.
It's usually a
what
background
happens.
thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the closest thing you get to a fight is the one at the beginning where the dogs are fighting over the bag of trash, and that one dog tears the other one's ear off.
Yeah,
that's about the closest you get to an actual fight.
That was a pretty good joke, though, to see what it was before you fight.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. Like we were saying, it's very dry. It's very it's humor like that, where it's like, we should check out this bag before we decide if we want to kill each other over it. And then they look at it, it's a bunch of garbage. Like, yep, it's worth it. And then they immediately start kicking each other's ass.
Yeah. The robot dogs were really cool designs. I love those.
Yeah, I like that they were basically Transformers, where they can go from like docile mode to like
peacock scary.
Yeah, exactly. And even like the joke where the running joke of Bryan Cranston's one, they keep seeing him off in the distance, and he's like, I can't smell him.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I'm remembering wrong. Is that he was always looking at a? Oh wait, yeah, because he was saying he can't smell the robot dog. But when they finally get to where the boy's actual dog is, he's like, yep, that one's real.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because they're like almost a mile away from it, and he can tell what it is from over there. So,
well, you don't know a dog's nose.
It's true. Dogs have very incredible noses, so...
So I was reading a bunch of reviews on the movie, and it kind of just pisses me off, because it seems like you can't please everybody, but a lot of people are calling the movie racist, and these are like professional journalists.
Why is it racist again?
I'm saying that with quotes, but they're saying like they're like, oh well, an American made this, so it's just American views on culture, and that seems stupid. And
yeah,
they were talking about the girl being the white savior of the movie and stuff like that, and that's pretty fucking stupid too, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they did have like the white foreign exchange student leading a lot of the political protest stuff, so I can kind of see that, but I don't think it's ever intentionally racist.
No, but they're making it out like, oh, it's the most racist thing ever, and it's just
that's
get
just
over
sensationalist
yourself.
Media now. So
Basically,
I don't know.
I didn't have a problem with the white character. I mean, you could go anywhere, and there's going to be a foreign exchange student.
Right.
Would it be any different if it was like a different race, color for someone?
Nah,
They would still be
maybe.
the savior.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
but I think it's specific because it's a white person.
Maybe. I don't know. But she didn't really even do much in the movie. I never really see protesters doing much at all.
Well, I don't
even
know.
in real life.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she was a proactive character, like getting stuff done, because she's actively doing investigations into why the government is got rid of the dogs and that they're suppressing information that there's a cure for dog flu and all that stuff. So she technically does, advance the plot a little bit.
True, but I also feel like she had a team of people. Cause
yeah, sure. She had that that whole club.
If you want to say who saved the whole movie is the hacker guy, which was another funny running joke.
And just like if he turns around, he has this weird face.
Yeah. But there was a lot of cool stuff too, because they showed all the troopers and they're all black and white, and then they showed him and he's in color.
Right.
And I thought visual stuff like that is pretty neat.
Yeah, this movie is just like visually amazing and beautiful.
Treat.
It is a treat
for the eyes.
That is a good way of putting it. And I feel like you could say it about any of Anderson's movies. Like, if anything you could say about him, he has a very interesting visual style. And all of them are very interesting to look at. And I don't know if you were noticing, Kyle, about a lot of the, like, ways they set up cameras and how they set up scenes and stuff.
I know his stuff. There's like shots where it's symmetrical. And different stuff like that.
And I noticed it a lot in this movie, more so in his other ones, that everything is pretty much center. Everything is symmetrical. Everything is center screen.
I did like other visual stuff, and I kind of wish they did it more. But towards the end of the movie, is it the mayor or what was it? I think really it's the mayor.
The creepy ugly guy?
No, just the main political dude.
The mayor, yeah.
When he would get mad, his eyes would glow red.
Yeah.
And then, like, steam would come out of his nose or ears. And I thought that was such a cool fucking thing, but they only really used it in that shot.
Yeah, at the end.
I kind of wish they did that a bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think generally, I mean, I think we both like this movie. It's very visually interesting, and I will say that if Wes Anderson is not your thing, this movie is not going to be what convinces you to like him. It's still very much a Wes Anderson movie, but if you do, or you just like visually interesting movies, I mean, I think this is a good one to see. Yeah.
It does make me want to watch his other movies.
Yeah, there's a few in his filmography that I still haven't seen, so need to sit down and watch the rest of them. I've seen mostly a lot of the recent ones, so I've seen like Grand Budapest Hotel, and I've seen Moonrise Kingdom, and obviously Fantastic Mr. Fox. So,
I think
but yeah,
is the Budapest one like the most the hallmark of his career, or what? A lot of people seem to like that one.
It's a really good movie. I know he got nominated for an Oscar for it. He was up for the Oscars when that came out a couple of years ago.
I remember when I worked at Amazon, we were selling so many of those movies. And I mean, I was cutting boxes up like one after another.
I think it was up. I think it was up for Best Picture, so I assume people were probably buying it to because it's a Best Picture nominee. But yeah. So, Kyle, is there anything else you want to say about this movie before we wrap it up?
No, I liked it. I would recommend it for anybody to watch.
I would full-heartedly agree with that. So yeah, it should be out of limited release. I think it's starting to get around the country more, so hopefully your local theater has it. And if you do, go check it out. I think you'll have a good time with it. It's very... It'll at least be an experience for you, to say that.
I still think, as far as stop motion goes, I still think Kubo is probably like the height of it.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't like any high point for stop motion, but the fact that we got a wide release stop motion movie in this day and age is still admirable.
Well, we got another one earlier this year that you're forgetting.
Which one was that?
Early Man.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
I don't think anybody did.
Exactly. Poor Aardman.
If they would have made a caveman movie, I would have been cool with it. The fact that they made it about sports, I think turned off a lot of people.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, I think that does it for this week. Go see Isle of Dogs. It's a good movie.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to our review, and we will catch you all next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.